you wrote a powerful editorial saying that essentially as a UN messenger of peace, which you are no longer, you say, able to make a call for peace. Because you say it's gone past the point where that kind of a call would even be heard. Explain, if you would, what you meant there.
Yes, Colleen, unfortunately the situation is so desperate right now that all I'm able to call for is survival. As a messenger of peace for the UN, I would dearly like to look at a future where we build solid foundations of peace, but in order for that to happen, we have to be able not to listen to stories like the one that we heard from the International Red Cross, where 4 weak and debilitated children were found in a house with the corpses of their mothers, with 12 other corpses. Stories like this is building a generation to come which cannot talk of peace, which cannot even think of peace. And right now, we're even just trying to get to them, trying to get to those people. At the moment, all of the aid convoys that are scared or unable to move around Gaza. They're being targeted just the same as the civilian population is. It's impossible to operate. The crossings are open for a minimal amount of time. We need the freedom to get in there, to be able to move, to be able to guarantee to the ambulance services, to UNRWA, to the UN arms that they can actually function in there.
Understood,
and
Your
until
Highness.
the attacks stop,
I want to interrupt
that.
there. I'm sorry, we've got a little delay here. It sounds like I'm being rude jumping in, but I do want to bring in Suzanne Mubarak, who's the wife of Hosni Mubarak, who we do have on the line right now. So we'll talk to you both as we continue here, Your Highness, if you would. Suzanne Mubarak, what action are you planning to take right away to try to get more aid into the Palestinians?
Let me just start, Colleen, by telling you that in the face of this escalating humanitarian disaster unfolding in Gaza, I'm really taking the opportunity of appealing through your program to humanity's conscience to call for an immediate end to the ongoing aggression in Gaza. And as a mother and a grandmother, I join all peace-loving citizens worldwide in denouncing this inhumane punishment of innocent civilians, the horrific suffering and loss of lives, especially of women and children. And I pray and I call upon the whole world, this needs to stop, and to stop now. As you know, Colleen, the situation keeps worsening every second, and Israel's promise of a daily 3-hour ceasefire is clearly not enough for our humanitarian agencies to provide assistance. And in any case, this cannot be considered a substitute for a definitive cessation of the hostilities, as requested now by the recent UN Security Council resolution. And as long as hostilities continue, civilians remain unprotected, and more innocent lives are being lost as we speak this very moment.
Understood,
now,
Mrs. Mubarak.
Tomorrow, Colleen,
sure.
Tomorrow, as chairperson of the Egyptian Red Crescent, I have called for an emergency meeting to be held in Cairo for the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movements and their components, the ICRC, the IFC, the Standing Commission, the ARCO, the PRCS, and ERC, and all United Nations agencies who are working in Cairo and who are working in the region. And I have got an immediate positive response, and they're all coming tomorrow, which shows the great concern over the deterioration of the humanitarian conditions of the civilian population in Gaza.
Well, that is great news to hear that this meeting is going to go ahead and that you've pushed that forward. That's going ahead tomorrow, I think I heard you say.
Tomorrow, and we need to find a workable solution, Colleen, for this tragic humanitarian plight. We need to be given a chance. Give us humanitarian workers. Help us to save lives. Allow us to help us to do our work.
Question,
and
Mrs.
how can
Mubarak,
we do this, Colleen?
Quick question for you, though, because I want to ask you about the Rafah crossing as
the
well.
Rafah
because
yes.
if it's so important to get aid into the Palestinians, why is the Rafah crossing only open a couple hours here, a couple hours there?
Because the Israelis keep closing. There's a great misunderstanding and misinterpretation of the responsibility of Egypt towards the Gaza crossing. Egypt is not the only the actor responsible. The Palestinians and the Israeli now are in control of the other side of the Gaza crossing, Colleen. And it is there when Israelis, with all our efforts, we tell them, open the book, we have to get the medical aid through, we have to get the personnel. They open and then they close on the other side. We don't close. The Gaza border on our side is open. But this is not it's not our responsibility. This
Understood.
is the problem.
Suzanne,
this is the problem, Korean. People don't seem to understand that.
Suzanne Mubarak, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I
Thank
appreciate
you,
that. Your Highness, Princess Haya, I want to bring one more question to you before we're out of time here. We've talked about some of the short-term actions that might need to be taken place in this meeting that's going to happen in Egypt and the issue with the Rafah crossing. What longer term do you think needs to be done here for the Palestinian people?
The issue is actually the immediate. I hate to not answer your question, but the issue is the immediate. The situation is desperate there. We must be allowed as humanitarians and to have the UN be able to operate there. All of the supplies that we're trying to get in, not only over Rafah, but through the Karni crossing, fuel, water, food, medical supplies, they're all run. The Gaza Strip is on the verge of collapse. It's the most densely populated area in the world. It's impossible to avoid killing of civilians. Unless we can operate out there, there is no future, there is no long term.